Okay. Hello, this is Moos Jacobs for DeBarra Spoken Word, and today I'm speaking with Hugh Bradley.
Hello.
Hello, and it's in connection with his upcoming session on the 4th of December 2024 at DeBarra's in Clonakilty. As people will hear the moment you open your mouth, you're probably not born in Clonakilty. So, hello, you. Where are you from, and how did
Yeah.
you end up in Clonakilty? The short version.
Well, yeah, I couldn't go through the whole story because it's quite a long, how do
You
you
could
end
write
up
a
in
book
Clonakilty?
about that.
Yes, I could actually. Yeah, I might. And I'm not even in Clonakilty. I'm in the village nearby, the tidiest village in Ireland.
Rosscarbery, perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not the tidiest house, but I'm in the tidiest village.
Okay,
Um,
that must be feel really good.
yeah, I have to cut my grass and things like that. Um, but that's the price I pay.
Yeah.
Um, there's twists and turns in life.
Yes.
You know, I'm from Scotland, Paisley in Glasgow. Paisley's next to Glasgow, and some of the book is set in Paisley, some of it's set in Glasgow.
It's basically a Catholic part of
Oh
Glasgow.
no, it's mixed. Yeah, yeah. Everywhere is mixed, really. There's certain areas are,
Oh, okay. I thought they were really Catholic
yeah.
Protestant area. Of course,
When I do
Paisley
my,
is a bit of a Protestant name in Northern Ireland, but
all right, yeah, people relate it to that, but
yeah.
once people forget about him, the identity with that will fade away. It's
Okay.
it's better relating it to Paisley pattern, which is a type of cloth that's
Oh yeah.
Paisley is famous for. So if you could relate it to that rather than Ian Paisley, it'd be better. Yeah.
Okay. So how long have you been in Clonakilty?
Um. Well, I was in London. I moved from Scotland to London, and I was kind of hanging about there for 10 years doing this and that. And then once I settled myself down a wee bit, I was working in homelessness in the middle of London, homeless shelters, rough sleeper shelters, different things. And I
You
was,
you say you were working there. What
yeah,
does
I
that
was
mean?
working in them, yeah,
As a social worker?
as a care worker, a project worker,
Okay.
just helping to manage the hostel. And
Okay. Okay.
But I remember I was having coffee one lunchtime with one of the staff, and she had worked for Cork Simon,
Oh, okay.
and she says, "Look, there's a job in Cork Simon. You'd be good there. You would like that. I think they would like you as well." And you know how funny wee twists and turns. I thought, yeah, that's an idea then. My partner at the time, her family had came from Cork. She liked
Okay.
Cork. We were in the middle of a big housing estate in Hackney, which was fine for a few years. But
Yeah.
once I had settled down a wee bit, it was a bit. I didn't want to live there for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I just went for it, kind of visualized it, went for the interview, got the job,
Okay.
and then picked a place to stay kind of thing, which was a bit random as well. Um, I had a friend who lived in Mill Street, so I stayed with him at first, and then I thought of Macroom, like it was close to kind of nature, kind of areas which I like, and I could still get into the city. So that was the plan. But I don't really nothing against Macroom, but it wasn't the best plan. And after a few years, things got very messy, and I moved down to Clonakilty, which I prefer.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
So, that was, do you see a big difference? Do you see differences or similarities between like Scotland and Ireland?
Yeah, there's lots of kind of crossover, definitely. Cultural history, um, sense of humor sometimes. I mean, it's different because I came from a kind of more urban environment, and this is more rural, really.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel misunderstood, to be honest. Yeah, but um, you find your own kind of tribe, and I think
Yeah.
Clonakilty's been good for that because
Okay.
I've met people from different areas, Irish and foreign, and found a few kind of radical people, which is good.
Okay. Would you call yourself a radical?
I wouldn't call myself any names really, but I suppose I've always been on the fringe of, I'm not centre left or centre right. I'm somewhere on the extreme there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've heard you do 3 things in DeBarra's because you used to come there quite a lot and for a while. And I think have you read any poetry?
Yeah, I did some
Yeah.
poetry as well, but
Yeah.
just when I started doing that poetry, I found it better when I was just speaking about it.
Okay.
Or ad-libbing rather than reading my poetry. So they ended up, I just ad-libbed and spoke more and tried a bit of comedy more than just reading a poem.
And I've also discovered that you're quite a good comedian. Maybe you don't realize it, but you're quite funny.
I've said things and people laugh, so that makes me guess that maybe that's what that's about. But yeah, that's what happened. It started off in the spoken word in DeBarra's, as I say. Instead of poetry, I would make up stories. I would make up scenarios and talk to the crowd. And it was much more give and take and response. I just found that I preferred that because with a poem, people applaud and they think that's very good. But there isn't much interaction really.
Less entertainment.
So, yeah.
But you're here for a different reason. You're here because you're publishing 2 novellas or 2 novellas in one book. Is that what?
Yeah.
Tell us
2 novellas in one book. It's magic.
Because tell us about it. What's it called and what's
the 2 novellas. The first one, which was printed before, but it was kind of self-published and just in kind of low-key manner. But that was called Glasgow Celtic Twitchers Society, and the second one is called the Love Street Division. Okay. And I suppose there's a distance between them. Like the Glasgow Celtic Twitchers is kind of contemporary, set in like the 80s or something like that, whereas the Love Street Division is science fiction set in Glasgow and Paisley
in the future,
in the year 2140. I can't remember, 2140 something. But there's 2 characters in it who are in both books. Not exactly the same character, but they're both called Shug. One's called Shug, one's called Tam.
Shug. So how do you spell it? Shug.
S-H-U-G, which is kind of Glaswegian for Hugh. I've always found it a good name.
They call you Shug. It's not.
If I'm back there sometimes, yeah. I'm thinking of using it here because sometimes when I say Hugh, people don't quite get it. But Shug and Tam. But it's kind of fantasy and science fiction. So it's not the same characters, obviously. But I quite like the idea of soul groups sometimes.
Of what?
Soul groups. Like you have a soul that passes between different reincarnations. So this is Shug reincarnated into 2140.
Okay. It's the same person, but reincarnated. Reincarnated.
I would say so. Yeah.
And what's 2140 something like? Is it a dystopian vision? Is it how do you come up with the right vision? Tell me.
Well, you get influenced by everything. The past few years have been kind of strange, things that have happened,
Tell me.
And that's obviously influenced it, what with advances in technology and the health stuff.
Okay, so I know about the health stuff. But do you want to tell us what happened to you?
Or not my own health stuff, I mean, but I'll get onto that after.
Okay.
But in general, the concept of the idea of COVID and all that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, true.
And then I was projecting that into the future as being a big thing in the future as well,
Sort of industrialized health system or very controlling?
Pretty controlled. And then with the technology, like the people of Glasgow live in a domed city. There's a dome around the city, protecting them from outside.
Yeah.
And the people living there are software enhanced people. Dome bands, I call them. So they're human, but a lot of the mental processes are, chips and things like that. They're not robots, but they've lost natural humanity.
So they do they have emotions?
It's frowned upon. Yeah. It's tried to be eradicated, really. There's in the book, I do mention that the programmed a wee bit to have good pattern. The programmed a wee bit to be able to, chat and things and have a joke, but not very much. You know, it's
talk.
very
Small
flat,
talk program. Okay.
very flat.
And does that go for the protagonists as well? Are they like that, or are they in a
No, because Shug and Tam live outside the dome.
Okay.
In the housing scheme in Paisley. And the housing schemes outside the dome, they are natural people. They haven't been, you know,
tampered with.
Yeah, they haven't got chips in their brain. But they do suffer from some illnesses and diseases and viruses and things like that.
Okay, as a result, because they're not sort of, they haven't been.
Well, because they're not in the dome. They're not in the dome, you know.
People in the dome don't get ill.
No, well, they have protection. There's an antibody situation where they harvest the antibodies of the people in the housing schemes in order to create a defence for the people inside the dome.
Did you say Tan or Tam?
Tam, short for Thomas.
Okay, so it's they're two males.
Yeah, they're two males. And
is there any love story in
it? No, I didn't find any time for romance in the story at all. But love doesn't need to be, you know, between people like that. You know, there's love in terms of there's friendship.
Okay.
And there's community of the people, you know.
But no romance.
I think love is important that way. I mean, there's women, obviously it's a mixed community, but no, I didn't have time for a romantic story for Shug, you know.
Okay, maybe that will come in the future.
Yeah.
And what about your own health? Because, you know, I mean, that might have influenced the book as well, the way you wrote it.
It did, because it influenced the ending. I wrote the first part of the book kind of during COVID times. And but around that time I had a heart disease like most of my life, which got worse.
Okay.
It was a genetic condition. Hokum it's called. And it got worse, and yeah, I moved into actually end stage heart failure.
Wow.
So I was struggling to stay here in this realm anyway. But you know, thank goodness and everything. I was in hospital then in the Mater in Dublin, and I was on the waiting list for a heart transplant. And I'm so very lucky that happened. It was, you know.
How long did you have to wait before it came?
It was, again, I'm very lucky. Some people have to wait a long time because, you know, in a sense, there's not enough donors. And that's something that's kind of changing. And also the donor, you know, it has to be a perfect match, you know, in terms of, you know, rejection and things like that. There has to be, I don't know, technical things, but it has to be a good match, which is hard because sometimes you may get the chance of a heart, but it doesn't match with you.
And are they then talking about like biological markers or blood?
Yeah, just like biological markers. I wouldn't know exactly, but or sometimes there might be a problem with the heart, so they can't use that heart.
Yeah.
As well.
So did you have many false alarms? Sorry.
Yeah, there was a false alarm. I went up one time from Cork, and I was waiting, and they were preparing me for the operation, and then at the last minute they said, no, we can't go ahead with it.
It must be crushing, was it?
Yeah, everything was strange and crushing at that time, but strangely, from the strength from where it came from, I'm not sure, but I just thought, well, at least I now know the kind of process of what happens leading up to it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hopeful maybe the next time, you know.
And so in the end, after how long did you get your heart?
It was about I was a couple of months up in the hospital, and I was waiting sometimes at home here, but then I couldn't wait at home anymore. It was too dangerous. I was too unwell, so I had to wait in the hospital. And then I remember getting a call one night and saying, we have it for you, and signed the consent form and went ahead with it. And it went off, you know, spectacularly well, you know. The big stages of recovery, you know, obviously. Yeah. First in intensive care for a while, and
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
lots of pipes
Was
and
there
tubes.
any risk that you wouldn't make it?
Yeah, there's always a risk. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they do biopsies for rejection. There's quite a lot of things that can happen, but thankfully it went so well for me. And I remember within a few days, they had me up walking, and I remember a nurse showing me off to everybody, going, "Look, he's only 5 days and he's walking." Everybody, that kind of thing. And I felt kind of really pleased with the positivity of the staff there and everything like that. And it really motivated me to get up and go. And, and I remember the first time the surgeon came in and he said, because it was at first there'd be a pacer to keep the heart going. And he said, we can turn the pacer off now. It's beating by itself. It's going by itself.
Wow.
And then that was very emotional time.
Yeah. And if you say emotional, what kind of emotion would be searching through you?
It's something I couldn't experience before, like even the consultant said you want to listen to it, and she put a thing on it and I could hear the heart beating. And I just felt very humble and very cared for, and very, I had life where I might not have had life.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I was carrying life around then. And you would think of the donor, obviously something very sad happened for me.
Did you ever find out anything more about him or her?
No, the procedure really is not to know who it was. I wrote a letter to the family of the donor.
Yeah.
And the staff passed that on.
Okay.
To them.
But there's no back and forth.
The procedure is anonymity. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
And yeah.
Because I sometimes heard, but maybe those are just quirky stories, that people take on some of the things of the donor, like their tastes for food changes or something like that. Have you experienced something exotic like that?
I've heard some things about that, but I can't think my personality has changed.
No.
It's changed in the sense my view of life, obviously, would have changed.
Your view of life?
Well, just by going through such a life and death experience.
Yeah. And has your view of death changed during this time? I mean, how did you feel about death?
Well, it's very, there's a lot to that. It's obviously, I mean, when I say in the blurb, sometimes like I think a lot and sometimes I write things down. I've often think about these things,
Mm-hmm.
Moving from a Catholic idea to a more Buddhist, but not Buddhist, spiritual, but not airy-fairy. Like I think about these things, and before the transplant, I thought I was passing on, so I had to think about that as well.
So how did that affect you? The idea that in all likelihood you wouldn't live much longer. How did that affect you?
Well, it's still affecting me now. The changes have been different. It's been different at different times. At the beginning, it was just survival, really. And taking the tablets, moving, doing what I'm told, avoiding infection. Just
There's still a higher risk than before.
At the moment, I'm coming out of the kind of survival mode, and that's why, like, this book is like me branching out and being me again, kind of thing, which I'm really pleased about.
And are you going to? I assume you're going to read parts of or bits and pieces of the book, or how?
Yeah, I'll read a couple of bits or take questions on it, and maybe Tadgh Hickey, who's a great guy, and he's coming along to introduce the book.
Okay.
So he might read a couple of sections of it himself or comment upon them.
And how can you tell people? Some people really know him, but he's a bit famous in some.
Yeah, I'd seen him on the TV or the YouTube and things like that because of his sketches.
He's a comedian.
Political comedian sketches, yeah. He did different ones. I remember one he did about, Scotland and Northern Ireland and England and Ireland living in the same flat. And I found it very funny, because he makes political concepts simple and human. you know, and he did that with the Palestinian cause as well. You
Yeah.
know, it wasn't like complicated geopolitics. It was about somebody stolen my house and what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
You know, and he made sketches like that, which I really liked.
The last post that a friend shared with me, he was saying that he was being taken down, he was being obstructed, and could
Yeah,
people
the
please share his videos as much
Meta
as
and
possible?
all that, wherever they worked, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, they probably have things that saying you can't politicize things and things like that.
Okay, so they're
And
taking down his actual videos. They're
yeah,
removing.
because he was asking online the other day if people would share his things
Yeah,
because it's not being shared properly.
yeah, and he was announcing like a kind of action in Shannon Airport where they transport weapons that go to Israel.
That's right. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
been very active in that. And
yeah,
but I mean, initially it's his comedy and his background and his book because he wrote a book himself, which I really liked. Tadgh Hickey, My Life as a Piss Artist, and you know, I really related to that. So I wanted to see him when I went to his book launch, and had a brief chat with him then. So I don't really know him, but I thought this is a guy I like, and so I asked him, and he is a good guy, and he said, yeah, he'll do that.
that's right. That's amazing. So
Yeah,
he'll be introducing the book and maybe doing
yeah,
some reading as well and
yeah,
talking to
yeah.
people.
He
And are
will.
you from the same area in Glasgow?
Oh no, Tadgh is Cork through and
He's
through.
Cork. Oh, he's not Cork. Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah,
I thought you
yeah.
said that, but you are not. You're from,
Glasgow, yeah, Paisley,
yeah,
yeah.
you're from Cork. Cork, basically.
But
Roughly.
it's funny, I was in Paisley a couple of months ago, and I was visiting a friend who lives in one of these housing schemes that I mentioned in the book, and he's right in the middle of it. And I went into him, and I hadn't been in his place for years. And there on his coffee table was Tadgh Hickey's book.
Okay. So that's,
Oh wow, you know this guy? And yeah, so it was great. I love connections like that.
yeah.
And I suppose a lot of the book maybe is about synchronicity as well, in a sense.
Okay.
And although I want it to be comedy, deep down I wish I was being a wee bit profound sometimes,
A wee
but
bit
not
what?
a wee bit profound sometimes. You
Okay.
know,
Oh, you don't want it to be comedy. I thought you wanted to
no, I
be.
want it to be comedy, but deep down I also think, oh, I mean something by this. I mean,
I think the best comedy is really profound. You know, it's just a way of saying the same things, but in a more catchy way.
yeah, yeah, I hope
And
so.
it stays with people.
Yeah,
It stays with
and it's just kind of reflecting how crazy society seemed in the past few years.
Yeah.
And as I was saying about the ending, I changed the ending because there was an aspect of, and I want, you know, there's a twist at the end of the book, you know, and for me, thinking maybe my life was coming to an end and then not, and then the story continues. There's an aspect of that in the book in terms
Okay.
of, it's kind of about, you know, there is a theory that life is a simulation
Yes, it is.
and it's created by whom, I don't know. So they've created these stories and these multiverses and multi-universes through code and stuff like that, which I find really dehumanizing and against nature and against the simple suchness of life. So in the book, you know, maybe this reality is going to be deleted for some reason, as you can do on the laptop.
This reality or that reality that they've
This particular
created.
universe, this particular
Okay.
story would be deleted. But I won't say more because that's part of a twist.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
very interesting.
but that was influenced by my own feeling of my story continuing. You know,
Okay.
it's really
And
humble.
well, one comment is there's of course going to be an open mic, as
Yeah,
you've often and performed at the open mic. And the other thing is, who's publishing your book and how is it going to be distributed? And can people buy it on the
yeah,
spot? Can they buy it online? How can they get it?
yeah. They're called Menma Publishing,
Okay.
MENMA, which is I think Ogham, an old Ogham script translated from an Ogham script. You know, ancient.
You're talking about Ogham. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's how they got the name. He got the name Menma, I believe, and it means understanding.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a new small publishing company that was set
And it's
up.
going to be in bookshops in Ireland.
You'll be in bookshops. I'm not sure the distribution details.
Okay. I
To
can
find out more. I'm
ask.
hoping to do something more in Scotland. I mean, it's a Scottish book, and it's in some ways, I think it's more appealing to people who are interested in Scotland or who are from Scotland and live somewhere else, like who are in London, Australia, Canada, things like that, Ireland. But hopefully it has a market in Scotland as well.
Okay.
Because it's called, at the top of the book, it says a Scottish Fantasia and 2 novellas. But if I printed this in Scotland, I wouldn't say a Scottish Fantasia, I would just say a Fantasia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's for a Scottish diaspora or people interested in stuff from Scotland.
If you keep in the Scottish people in Scotland might even like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I spoke to people in Paisley, in the Paisley Library, and they said they'd be interested, and I'm going to go back over and maybe do a reading there or something like that.
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Hugh, thank you very much. And
good.
we'll stop recording, and I'll see you on the 4th of December at the DeBarra Spoken Word. Pink Street in Clonagilty, Ireland.